Thank you so much for attending my presentation about Gen 8's odd regional evolutions, and first let's talk about Mr. Rhyme. Of all the Pokemon on today's list, this is the most sad. The Ice Psychic typing isn't exactly great, having a shitload of weaknesses, but even on offense it can struggle. Steel types just wall this guy unless it wants to run the inaccurate Focus Blast. However, where things go off the rails is its competition. The biggest culprit by far is Jinx, another Ice Psychic type with much better offensive stats. Compared to Mr. Rhyme's 110 special attack and 70 speed, Jinx hits 115 and 95. Plus, with Lovely Kiss, it can give itself free turns to boost with Nasty Plot or just click strong moves. Mr. Rhyme does have a small place though. There's two moves that can give it a niche, Rapid Spin and Slack Off. The former strength is very obvious. Clearing hazards off the field is great and gives it supportive options. Slack Off is worse as it's not living super long anyways, but having access to instant recovery at all is great. Mr. Rhyme is still super bad, being niche even down in ZU, but at least it's not worthless. Cursula on the surface is really fucked up. 145 special attack is absolutely monstrous even by modern standards. Plus, it has 130 special defense, in theory being tough to take down, but everything else about Cursula lets it down hard. It just doesn't have any physical bulk. 60-50 is obscenely bad, even neutral hits can threaten it with Okos. Plus, it's slow. While damage output is huge, in practice it can throw out attacks. Okay, so singles is pretty hopeless aside from a niche wall breaker roll, but in doubles it can work in Trick Room, right? Well, not really. First, it's super weak to two common forms of priority in Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch. Second, Cursula doesn't have any good spread moves. Even if it does get into the right position, sticking around for more than one turn isn't easy. Third, there isn't a great reason to use it. 145 is very high, but isn't super unique compared to other slow pokes. Stuff like Vikavolt and Hatterene, let alone legendary Calyrex Ice, are generally better, having those traits that Cursula doesn't. On the whole, it's not very good and very outclassed. We've looked at some kinda depressing Pokemon thus far, but it's time to change things up. While Berserker isn't exactly amazing, its gimmick actually does work. The whole idea is Steely Spirit, buffing all of its Steel-type moves by 1.5 times. That increase is giant, essentially turning Iron Head into a 120 base power stab move. This combined with either Swords Dance or a Choice Band turns the cat into a very powerful wall breaker. It does have some weaknesses, albeit not that bad. Namely, it's pretty slow, only hitting 50, but unlike Cursula, it can reasonably take some attacks. Mono Steel gives Berserker a ton of openings, coming in on Grass, Psychic, Ice, and its plethora of other resistances, and while still not that great, its stats do let it take some punishment. Berserker doesn't have to use Steely Spirit. While oftentimes worse, Tough Claws can be used to boost contact moves by 1.3 times. Yes, Iron Head is weaker now, but close combat hits catastrophic power. Of course, it's still not that great. Those weaknesses aren't going to translate to OU, UU, or even RU success, but in PU it can find a real role as a powerful offensive threat. Plus, it's not unusable in doubles. Since Steely Spirit applies to your partners too, it can make strong attackers like Zacian even more deadly. Did it see tournament success? Not really, but having a niche at all is very cool. Before you say anything, Darmanitan Zen mode doesn't exactly fit into this video concept. It's not a regional evolution, just a regional form. However, I do still need to talk about it. In one of my more recent videos, I had a segment on regular Zen mode and why it struggles. Since G-Darm Zen mode didn't fit into the slide cleanly, I decided not to include it, but vowed to give it a moment. Now it's finally time. How it works is pretty simple. When above 50% HP, it's the base. When below, it becomes Zen. When the transition happens, it gets some insane stat buffs, particularly 22 attack and 40 to speed. Out of nowhere, it becomes a fast as fuck wall breaker, but it doesn't get usage. This is in large part because of Guerrilla Tactics, the ability it often runs instead, giving Dharma free choice band. Zen thus isn't seen. 160 attack is high, but doesn't beat out what amounts to 210. In addition, it's really tough to get Zen mode going safely. It has no real bulk, and since it has to lose health for the gimmick to activate, dying on accident is very easy. There is some counterplay, especially with Endure and Focus Sash, but it requires sacrifice and is priority weak. To my knowledge, the only time when Zen mode has been really usable was on the Cartridge Ladder, a format where you can only bring 3 Mons. Even then though, Guerrilla Tactics was better. If you can clue me in on some other meta use, please let me know. Darmg Zen deserves more. In conclusion, Gen 8 introduced some absolute goofballs. While these ones are generally not used for one reason or another, that's okay. They at least try new things, which I can always respect. Thank you so much for watching.